She said the babysitter did it. But what investigators uncovered was something far more chilling. 2 toddlers, locked in a hot oven, lifeless, burned. A mother's cold 911 call. A father's screams through a FaceTime screen. And a city left haunted by a crime too monstrous to imagine. What really happened behind the door of that Atlanta apartment? What twisted truth was hiding in plain sight? And how did a broken system fail to protect the most innocent of lives? This is the horrifying story of Lamora Williams, a tale of deception, madness, and murder. This is Secrets in the Shadows, and this is the most disturbing case you've never heard of. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Over the years, Lamora's mental state appeared to worsen. She had 4 children by 3 different fathers, and those close to her said she often seemed overwhelmed and unstable. Child Protective Services was contacted multiple times. Neighbors reported screaming and crying from her apartment, but every time DFCS visited, Lamora acted calm and composed enough for caseworkers to close the file. Her mother would later say that Lamora was crying for help, and no one answered. The final warning came a month before the tragedy. A friend found Lamora's children wandering alone in a parking lot at night. When questioned, Lamora claimed she didn't know how they got out. Days later, she locked herself in a bathroom for hours, screaming that someone was trying to kill her. That same week, she was hospitalized briefly for erratic behavior. Doctors diagnosed her with acute stress disorder and sent her home with no follow-up care. The system didn't fail Lamora. It failed the children she was left alone with. Every red flag was documented. Every cry for help was recorded. Yet no one connected the dots. Research shows that over 60% of child abuse fatalities involve families previously known to protective services. Lamora's case fits this painful pattern. Jakarta and Kayante were just babies, 1 and 2 years old. They loved to laugh, play with their older siblings, and eat snacks. They were full of energy, warmth, and innocence. They didn't know of hatred, of cruelty, or of pain. Their older brother, Jamil Penn Jr., just 3 years old, was in the apartment during the incident, but was unharmed. Their sister was not present at the time. On October 13th, 2017, their lives ended in the most horrific way imaginable. That evening, Lamora Williams called 911. She told the dispatcher that she had returned home and found her children dead. She said a babysitter had killed them and disappeared. Her voice was oddly calm. Her story didn't add up. When police arrived at the small apartment, what they found was chilling. The oven door was open. Burn marks lined the inside. Jakarta and Kayante lay nearby, already gone. The investigators pieced together a story no one wanted to believe. The boys had been placed inside the oven, alive. Police quickly ruled out the existence of a babysitter. Phone records showed Lamora was home during the estimated time of death. And then came the most haunting evidence, a FaceTime call Lamora made to the children's father, Jamil Penn. She showed him the boys. She said nothing. She simply let him see them. Jamil's scream echoed through the call. His world shattered. Officers noticed something strange. Lamora never showed emotion. Her voice stayed flat, even when describing how her children died. Lamora was arrested later that evening. Detectives found no evidence of a babysitter. There was no forced entry. No neighbors saw anyone coming or going. Surveillance footage from the apartment complex showed Lamora coming home alone that day, Her phone records placed her at the scene during the entire time frame. She claimed the babysitter had been there. Investigators checked databases for the name she gave. It didn't exist. The deeper they looked, the more her story fell apart. Forensic experts examined the oven. The temperature logs showed it had been heated to over 400 degrees. The burn patterns on the boys' bodies matched the oven racks perfectly. The medical examiner's report confirmed that the time of death didn't line up with Lamora's alibi. The children had been dead for hours before she called 911. Investigators found something even more chilling. Food particles stuck to the oven walls matched what the boys had eaten that day. This meant they were alive when placed inside. The burn patterns showed they had tried to climb out, their small hands leaving marks on the oven door. The crime scene photos were so disturbing, jurors later said they couldn't look at them for more than a few seconds. Lamora's own words betrayed her. In her initial 911 call, she said the boys got in the oven. Later, she changed it to the babysitter who put them there. Detectives pointed out that ovens don't just open themselves. They reminded her she was the only adult home all day. As the evidence piled up, Lamora stopped talking. Authorities found her internet search history. Just hours before the murders, she had looked up, "How long does it take to burn a body?" and "Can you die from being in an oven?" These searches didn't match her claim that the babysitter acted alone. The oven wasn't just the weapon, it was the confession. Every piece of evidence told the same story. Lamora Williams knew exactly what she was doing. Lamora's own words betrayed her. In her initial 911 call, she said the boys got in the oven. Later, she changed it to the babysitter who put them there. Detectives pointed out that ovens don't just open themselves. They reminded her she was the only adult home all day. As the evidence piled up, Lamora stopped talking. In her 911 call, Lamora Williams stated, "When I came in, the stove was laying on my son, on my youngest son's head, and my other son was laid out on the floor, with his brains laid out on the floor." She also expressed concern about being arrested, saying, "I don't want to get locked up because this is not my fault. I had just came home from work." The prosecution built their case on premeditation. They showed the jury Lamora's internet searches about burning bodies. They played her calm 911 call, where she first said the boys got in the oven before changing her story. Forensic experts explained how oven burn patterns proved the children were alive when placed inside. The defense argued Lamora suffered from psychotic episodes. They presented her childhood history of mental instability and the hospital visit days before the murders. The trial revealed systemic failures beyond Lamora's actions. Caseworkers admitted they dismissed multiple abuse reports. Mental health professionals confirmed Lamora needed long-term care after her hospital visit. Neighbors testified they'd called police about screaming from the apartment before, yet no institution intervened enough to save Jakarta and Kayante. Their father later said, "People saw the signs and walked away." Research shows nearly 70% of child abuse deaths involve families previously known to authorities. The trial provided facts, but no answers. Why did Lamora target her most vulnerable children? Why did the oven become her weapon? The jury foreman told reporters, "We'll never understand." The judge sealed all crime scene photos, calling them too disturbing for public record. What remained were 2 death certificates and a haunting question: could this have been stopped? Funeral services for Jakarta and Kayante Penn were held at West Hunter Street Baptist Church in Atlanta, where family, friends, and members of the community gathered to mourn the tragic loss. The boy's father, Jamil Penn, who had received a video call from Lamora showing the lifeless bodies of his sons, was present and visibly heartbroken. A GoFundMe campaign was launched to help cover funeral expenses, and support poured in from people deeply moved by the case. During the services, the church was filled with grief and disbelief as the city tried to come to terms with the unimaginable loss of 2 innocent children. Lamora Williams' family reported that she had a long-standing history of mental health issues. Her mother, Brenda Williams, stated that Lamora had struggled with mental illness throughout her life and expressed concerns about her daughter's well-being. Following Lamora's arrest, Brenda informed authorities of these concerns and requested that her daughter be placed on suicide watch while in custody. Additionally, Lamora's sister, Tabitha Hollingsworth, indicated that the family had previously attempted to seek help for Lamora's mental health challenges, but their efforts were unsuccessful. Despite these familial reports, there is no publicly available information confirming that Lamora Williams received formal mental health treatment or evaluations during the legal proceedings leading up to her conviction and sentencing. The court records and news reports do not detail any mental health interventions or considerations that were part of her defense or sentencing. This case underscores the complexities surrounding mental health issues and the importance of accessible mental health care, especially in situations where early intervention could potentially prevent tragic outcomes. Lamora Williams was convicted on 14 charges, including 2 counts of felony murder, for the horrific deaths of her young sons, Jakarta and Kayante Penn. After the trial, the judge sentenced her to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 35 years. Throughout the proceedings, prosecutors emphasized the brutality of the crime and Williams's lack of remorse. Her sentencing marked the end of a devastating case that left a lasting scar on the Atlanta community and highlighted the urgent need for improved mental health and child welfare support. To Jakarta and Kayante, you were so small, so full of life. The world should have protected you. You should have had birthdays, school days, bedtime stories, not headlines. We'll never understand why this happened, but we will remember you, not for what was taken, but for the light you were. May you rest in peace, surrounded by love that this world failed to give. You will never be forgotten, not here, not by us, not ever. To our viewers, if this story moved you, help us keep their memory alive. Please like this video, not because you support the crime, but because you stand for the victims. Subscribe to Secrets in the Shadows and turn on notifications. We uncover the stories others are afraid to tell, because every child deserves to be seen, heard, and remembered. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and never stop fighting for justice.